Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy back with my Let's Get Creeping on Halloween make for September 2024, Dracula's Garage. So I started this one with some bat die cuts. I really just needed some bat wings, so if you have bat wings of any form and or variety would work. I pulled out a couple of different sets of bat wings, and these were just the ones that I ended up going with, and of course some black glitter cardstock. I'm bringing in some heavier weight Kraft cardstock here, and I'm going to use the Tim Holtz, I think this one is Cracked Paint 3D embossing folder. And so I'm coming in with, I was going to do distress ink, and I realized I don't want it to be water reactive, so I grabbed my Archival brown ink. It might be walnut stain, don't quote me on that one. Ran it through the side that's going to depress it. I also, when you do a 3D folder, you only need your base, at least for the Sizzix, the base, your 3D folder, and then one of the cutting mats. I hope that makes sense. Now I am coming in with that distress ink in walnut stain and just kind of adding some color variation to it. Realized I need to cut this down, so before I got too heavy into it, I cut it down to size. So doing an A2 card, which is my normal, at 5.5 and 4 1/4. I'm also bringing in this, it's an older Tim Holtz, just a regular embossing folder that's got that, I don't know what it's called. It's the metal plate that you see in, I don't know, shop style stuff. Kind of has a little bit of a grip to it. You see it a lot in chrome. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Anyways, so I cut that out kind of as my, I guess it would be my bench top. Not that it would really work for a bench top, but that was kind of my thought with, you know, it looks shop or garagey, okay? Yeah. I'm also going to bring in some score style tape and put that on the whole back of that 3D emboss panel. That paper was maybe not as thick as it should have been, and because it's a Kraft cardstock, it didn't hold together the best. I did run it through like 3 times, which I probably could have stopped at once. Maybe I only ran it twice. I don't remember. Anyways, it was like falling apart on me. So I decided to do the 3D or the score style tape, and then of course add it to my card base right away. And yeah, I maybe should have paid a little more attention. I mean, it was technically on the card properly when I started, and then you saw that right there where it popped open. Yeah, I didn't realize that. It is what it is. So now I'm just taking that Such a Tool stamp set. I'm just trying to stamp the wrench more or less. I really don't need the wings on this one. Well, I do, but I don't, right? So I stamped it 3 times. I figured that'll fill up my card front fairly well. I'm just going to come in with some cool grays. I'm going to go a little bit darker than I have done with some of my other ones. Don't worry, that series is coming. So if you caught this one when it came out, the other series is coming, or the rest of the series is coming. But I did bring in a little bit darker of a cool gray for my wrenches, just because it was Drac's Garage, and obviously I'm putting bat wings on them, so they should probably be a little bit darker than that, you know, metallic-y, bright silver color. At least that's where I was going in my head. So I will color those all up. I kind of do the darkest first around the smaller points and then along the sides, coming in with my second tone here, which is probably a cool gray number 3, or I think I started with 5 and then I went to 3. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Then I just hand cut them out one at a time. It really didn't take very long because I didn't have to cut around the wings. And then I'm just going to cut my bat bodies off the wings a little bit. I didn't want to do, I don't know, the full bat body. I just wasn't, I didn't, you know, because it was going to cover up the wrench, and that was not the whole idea of this one. I really just needed the wings. I had thought maybe I could have masked them off and just drawn in a straight line for my wrench and put the bat wings adhered on the back side, but I like how they turned out on this one instead. I did cut off the little ones as well for this one, and so, you know, you get to watch me cut them all off. So I wasn't too worried about when I did my die cuts if the whole bat was on the piece of paper, so, you know, because I knew I was cutting them down anyways, so keep that in mind when you are doing them. So I just wanted to kind of line it up and figure out exactly where I was going. So I'm going to put 2 dots on each one, kind of where those dragonfly wings were on the original stamped image. And I'll start with the large one and then go with the small one. I could have gotten away probably with one set of wings instead of 2 sets of wings, but I kind of liked the look of the 2 sets of wings, you know, because it goes with that such a cool image. Anyways, so once I have those all put together, I'm going to set them off to the side a little bit. Bring in my card front again, and I want to do a sentiment, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. So I ended up pulling in this piece of red glitter cardstock. It was already cut with a modern emboss square because I cut out the inside of a larger piece. And so while I was laying the letters out, I was like, well, if I lay them out just so, and for that top one, because this die set from, it's a Tim Holtz, I think it's the new vault release this year. So it doesn't have an apostrophe or a comma, so I used the tip of the Y and then just partially die cut it so I could just snip out that top little bit or that bottom little piece there so it kind of looks like an apostrophe. So I, you know, was strategic in my die cutting on that one so I could get 2 cards out of this one. So this was unplanned. I mean, I didn't plan on doing the second one. I was only planning on doing the first, but I was like, it'll fit. So I made it work. So kind of going through and picking, and I should have ran the letters through my precision plate for my Sizzix. It is glitter cardstock. It does not cut the greatest. I did run it through, I think, 3 times to try to make it cut all the way through the glitter card. This glitter cardstock that I have kind of is like a plasticky on the back, and if you've ever die cut like acetate pieces, some of them don't cut the greatest, and this was definitely kind of along that same line. It didn't cut the greatest all the way through. I was able to just pick them out and make it work. Now this sentiment set, I'm not in love with the G's. So you look at the garage and it just doesn't look like a G. It could have, I don't know. It's different than the C. It is. It's just, I look at it and I see 2 C's. But, you know, I can't fix that on my own. So I'm on my own here. Or, you know, I'm forced to use what the, you know, how they say font matters. Yeah. That one just kind of looks funny to me. Anyways, I finished putting in the negatives, or is it the positives? Putting in the negatives into my other one, and then I brought in, I just needed some nails on the wall. It's kind of where I was going with it. So they were a little too coppery. I picked these up at the Dollar Tree recently. So if you're looking for some cheaper options for some, you know, nail heads, they had them at the Dollar Tree. So I added a little bit of glue on because I don't trust anything when it comes to adhesive, and just popped those into kind of the centers, more towards the top of the little wrench head there, kind of like they're hanging on the wall. At least that's how the guys hang them here. I don't know. Isn't that how everyone hangs wrenches? Or I guess you could store them in a drawer. Anyways, this is Drax's garage, and that's where he stores them. I did not glue down the wings on these. I kind of came in and fluffed them, or kind of rolled them a little bit so they have a little bit of a bow to them. So that was the first card, and this is when I realized I put it on wrong. Yeah. Well, you know what happens? You just cut it off the card base, and you glue it onto a new one. It happens. Yep. I was, I laughed at myself. I was like, oh, wow. Just, way to go, Jamie. I will say that the glue does not dry onto that glitter cardstock very well either. Hence why the blocks came back out, just to add pressure to hold them all in place. Now, for this one, I decided to kind of go a little bit bigger with the bat wings, and I kind of liked it. So I did do the 1 on this one instead of the 2. And I like how this one looks too, so don't feel like you have to do both of them. 2 different looks. So I did come in with some foam tape for my wings on this one to kind of pop them up, just because we're dealing with that glitter cardstock and sticking stuff to it does not always work the greatest. So I'm coming in, adding my wrench on there flat, and then I'm going to puff up my wings here or pop them up. So, and then of course curl them on the ends, and then I will let that sit to dry as well. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you don't know anything about Get Creeping on Halloween, check out the description box below. And for a bonus this month, I may have found time to make one for my Salty Card Creations channel. It's a little, well, it's not too naughty. There are some, images in there that might not be kid friendly if you're looking really hard. It's funny though. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye.